this season.
Yeah, you as well, eh?
Thank you. Yeah.
You guys have a good break.
Not long enough, as usual. But it was good, yeah, thanks. And you?
Yeah, also very busy with lots of family and friends, but it was good.
No, lekker, yeah.
You got a plate?
I didn't. We went for a camp to Carib, and then Daryl and my mom was supposed to come down, but something happened that they had to cancel.
Shame. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you Russell? How's it, Ferdy? Sorry, Russell, you muted.
Mute, Russell.
Morning, everyone. Good to see you all.
Yeah. How's the gym going, Russell?
Gym is good, eh? Shooting time for the show, but yeah, everything's going according to plan now.
Good. Morning, Salome.
Good morning.
You in Joburg or Pretoria?
Joburg.
Okay. How's Joburg today?
A little bit more warmer than the weekend. We had almost winter over the weekend, while everyone was dying in Cape Town. Yeah.
Okay. And Ferdy, Bloem's always hot, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always hot. Yeah, but the sun didn't shine for like almost a month, so it's quite nice to see the sun for a change and have a bit of summer.
Okay, cool. I think just wait a little bit longer, trying to see who else might join us.
Brian's just going to be a bit late. He'll join in a while.
Okay, cool. Okay. Okay, guys, I thought today, the first session of the year, we discussed it in December, you know, kind of what we felt we got the most value and what we'd want to do into the new year. But I thought maybe what we could do is just go around through everyone and just kind of, you know, normally at the beginning of the year, we kind of get organized and sit and we get quite clear on things that we want to work on. And I think if we maybe just go around the room and chat about that, and then, you know, there might be some areas that that will pop up that people have in common, and then we can perhaps start the year off in our next meetings by just focusing on those things. As I said, I think a lot of what we want to do is try and be more practical, you know, in how do we actually apply all this wonderful knowledge to actually putting into practice in our businesses. You guys all happy with that? Okay, how's it, Jason?
Hey Dirk, how you doing?
Okay, man, good. Okay, well, Russell, I'm going to start with you because I know you always got plans.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think also, which is great that you raised it. You know, we trying to obviously promote lifestyle financial planning more and like good advice out there. And I completely understand. I think, you know, for most of us, we also want to kind of make it more practical this year. So I think what would also be great to hear from like everyone, like what would you like more of to be used practically, you know, whether it's like part of your advice process, or ways to handle with clients, like not to go into it, but I know the big thing, and you saw I shared one or two things, but we could also talk more about the sales and negotiation part. Is like, you know, most of us, especially as younger advisors, we usually have the challenge of like, when it comes to lifestyle financial plan or proper advice, positioning fees, you know, or the fee or for the value we're adding. So I know that's kind of like a big hurdle that I find with a lot of other planners as well when I speak to them about lifestyle financial planning. And then I think also most of like what I've realized from last year is that, you know, and I think Dirk, you also raised it as well, is that we can't really wait for anyone to drive change or pioneer change with lifestyle financial planning. We actually have to change it. You know, obviously the, you know, dream mode is that we'd expect the product providers to kind of jump in and start pushing it. But I think it's us that have to kind of like influence and also get more people on board and kind of get it more out there. So like I was speaking to, I think it was Ben, and then like one or two of my other colleagues within the industry of like, also I think be great if we can kind of talk more about it or kind of raise more awareness. And I'm planning to use, because we're supposed to be putting out more content like this year as well, but with the YFPO kind of drive more awareness about that. You know, because we found it as well, according to FBI statistics, that there's still, I would say, a huge lack of knowledge about, you know, people that want to work in our industry and also clients outside the industry that don't know that there is something called lifestyle financial plan, or very little of. You know, so I want to kind of use that platform to also drive more awareness and say this is like the other side of like financial planning that people don't see or hear about.
Okay, that's great, Russell. When you said in the beginning, you spoke about you know, how to justify fees or whatever versus value. You said something about, I don't think you used the word deal, but is that about actually like getting business? In other words, paying the bills, that kind of stuff.
It's more so of like, I think what I've been like also like looking into and like speaking to a lot of planners, you know, outside of South Africa, is that it's not so much about, aside from just getting the deal of business, but I guess like putting the value proposition in front of clients. Because, you know, I know if you compare us to like the UK and Australia and overseas, our financial plan industry is catching up, but it's a bit behind. So when we're trying to position the value we add as lifestyle financial planners, we tend to find it a little bit more harder, you know, because the fee debate is quite a big thing. So I think it's like more ways, and we can do it practically of, you know, aside from the holistic plan, like demonstrating to clients, like this is what you're getting out of when you deal with like a lifestyle financial planner versus if you want to just deal with a normal advisor that sells you a policy and that's it, you know. So it's around, I guess, the negotiation and sales that I've been looking into, like from Christo and like a few other entrepreneurs, is kind of like they do a lot of role playing and like practice of like how they position their value to clients, because they deal with the same issue, even though it's in a different field, where it's actually even harder for them, where they have to justify to a client like you know, you pay me to do brand designing or, you know, advertising for you and design your logo, but then the client's like, I don't see it, and it's harder for them as well. So they also deal with, even though it's a completely different industry, they deal with the same challenges that we deal with. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, and I think it's something that a lot of us battle with.
Yeah.
Okay. Frank, what are things that that you're kind of focusing on for the year, and areas that you'd like to improve or get better or bring into your business?
I had a feeling you're going to ask me next. So yeah, that's there's actually a lot to say, but I'm going to keep it very short and summary, and you can maybe ask from there onwards. So I see that you're a Tottenham fan. I feel sorry for you. But on top of that is I want to just bring in someone that I'm a Liverpool supporter. I'm not a Man U supporter. But I listened to the documentary of Cristiano Ronaldo, and we shared that yesterday with the team, and we unpacked of what he was saying. It's a very, very good interview, not a documentary, it's an interview. And so for all of you, I would recommend, if you got DSTV catch up, is to go listen to that, because there's so much lessons to be taken out on what he has said, and it comes back to culture. If you unpack every little thing that he was talking about, and we actually as a team summarized it, and through that, what everyone got out of it, and then we brought it back to, and it comes back to a culture that gets created within a firm. And also it starts with the individual, of course. So just something I wanted to leave there with you guys as we were talking. I thought I want to share that with you. So we had a strat planning session last week, my partner and I, and we went away for 2 days, and we were just seeking and to see what how we want to take things forward for this year. So in those 2 days, we were the first day we very much on our own reflection time, thinking about how we're going to position ourselves for this year as a firm, and what are we feeling for this year, and etc. So the second day, when we had a meeting where we actually started with our strat planning and reviewing it, that the common theme for us is that this is a year of growth. So in that is that we had to make very clear, and we both felt the same, we're not actually doing any development this year. No software development, no website upgrade, no development. So we've done, for the last 2 years, we've done a lot of development, extremely a lot of development. And we also have, in the last 2 years, it was sort of in a survival mode. So this year, we are focusing completely on growth. And how does that look like? It looks, we're still unpacking that, to be very honest with you, as a team. But in a nutshell, there's a lot more that actually branches off of what I've just shared. But this year, we're just basically focusing on growing the business, because that's what we felt, we heard, both of us. And that's our main focus for this year. So no development this year.
Okay, so when you're saying growth, are you talking about turnover or income growth? Getting new clients?
It's growing, yeah, it's growing the business. It's AUM growth, but it's not focusing on doing products. That naturally follows the processes, as we all know. It's client growth, AUM growth. It is individual growth for everyone here. It's just getting out of that mindset. I think where a lot of people have found themselves over the last year of survival mode. And we felt this year need to step out of that and actually in focusing on growing, yeah, the individuals and the business. So, like I said, that looks very differently in a lot of ways, but that's going to be our focus for this year. And just one of the simple things, if we're talking about business growth, is that the lifestyle financial planning process has been very hard driven over the last year. So what we have highlighted is we also looked at our client segmentation, and in our client segmentation, we highlighted some clients of our AB clients that we want to transition into the lifestyle financial planning process, and but the rest is all new clients. We do that presentation, of course. So, but it's also very clear on where do we filter our energy to. We've put some systems in place to be able to position yourself with growth. You need some systems in place, but the heart is not behind the system. The heart is behind the mentality of each and every individual in the firm. So yeah, there's a big summary there, but there's a lot of meat in that.
Yeah, so I like what you said about obviously AUM growth, which talks turnover and finances, which are really important. And I think a lot of us kind of feel guilty about the fact that we might make some money, which is ridiculous, by the way. But then also I find interesting the focus on individuals. Have you got any examples, without getting particular or personal, but also I think your business, you've got people of various levels of skill and of age, demographic, anything that like pops to mind there?
Yeah, so it's to let them understand their role in the firm and how important each and every role is in the firm to make this thing work, because it's an animal on its own. So if you have 12 people, you need to understand each level, how important that is, and how each person plays an important role. They're talking about from the secretary up until the partner level, and how important it is that everyone understand that and how they need to grow as individuals. So so that's a day-to-day process which we have meetings on and feedback on, accountability. Even in that we have accountability of daily, of weekly tasks that's been allocated, and then so we're not making it a police or a controlling system. We actually bring it as an accountability system, and let them understand it's an accountability system. That because I said to them, you know, we're all adults. None of you here are kids. You know, none of us want to be treated like kids. So we work as a team, and to understand that responsibility and to be accountable inside that responsibility. So there is a way that we're going to measure that, and let them understand that that's for their development as well, and not just for the practice development. Because the better they get developed as individuals, the business will grow by itself. So, you know, as soon as we started growing and developing the individuals, the business grow will follow. And so yeah, there's a lot of focus on that as well. So now we're talking about people growth, and but that's a big component for business growth.
Okay, so you say you've got 12 staff. I know you both do accounting and financial planning. Is there like an accounting team and a financial planning team?
Yeah, so we're 3 on the financial planning team. We're looking to bring another person in now, a 4th person, and the rest is all accounting, tax staff.
Okay. Okay, well, great. I think, yeah, that's working on the individuals, I think, is definitely the right thing to do. Great. Thanks, Frank. Just keep it in the family. Justin.
Good one, Frank. I think I'm one step behind Frank, though. I think we're going to be doing a lot more of our development stuff, which I didn't get around to last year. We're working with June and Shannon from Old Mutual Wealth. Still getting our documentation, our presentations, all of those basics down pat before we hopefully join Frank in his growth phase. So yeah, I think, or at least maybe the first 6 months is going to be a lot more admin PT than anything else. And yeah, we had a lot of changes last year, which mostly are under the belt, just keeping clients happy with the retiring of Daryl, which all went well. We didn't have any losses that I'm aware of. But yeah, this year's purely getting the groundwork done for hopefully next year. Second phase is what more where Frank is at the moment. Yeah.
No, and I can see that. I think it's great. I mean, you come from the accounting background, so and I know your dad's retirement happened quite quickly. Yeah, so I think well done on actually just getting through that and keeping everything afloat. I think on that, I know you're going to be working with Shannon in June, which is fantastic. It's going to help you a lot. But if you ever need, a few of us have kind of done some of that stuff. If you need to ask, where to get hold of us on that. So yeah, good luck with that.
Definitely. I think I will be giving some of you a shot this year. I just, maybe just want to do a lot of the groundwork with June and Shannon, and then maybe just run it by 1 or 2 of you guys just to have a look at before we put anything in place.
Yeah, no, we're happy to do that, but don't be scared of just that article I sent this morning is really cool with Alan Smith, because it just tells you that you're going to get it wrong, but just do it in any case, because doing something is better than doing nothing. You get paralysis otherwise.
True.
Yeah. Let's move to Bloem. Ferdy, your plans and things that you want to work on this year?
Yeah, it's more of the same. Try and grow my client base. I also want to implement some new software, as the current business I don't feel has the capacity to grow a client base really. Yeah, so I just want to get a few of the tools that I really like in place, and to see what the clients think about the visualization of everything and so forth. And then just working on the process and everything I want to show clients, and then the big thing is trying to learn how to get better conversations going about the goals that the clients want to achieve, and really help them to unpack the goals they want to achieve, and have a conversation around that, just to listen a bit better, take myself out of the picture, and so forth. So that's just the learning curve that I have to go through. Hopefully I'll get new clients so that I can practice and do it. Yes.
Freddie, are you still operating within the accounting firm?
Yeah, so it's half and half at the moment.
Okay, all right. And obviously that's a source of potential clients for you.
Yes, it can be, but yeah, it's difficult because they're all already clients of ours, of somebody else. Yeah, it's more a referral base of maybe their friends would be new clients.
Okay, so you're looking at existing clients and trying to grow from there.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Great. Okay. I see Brian's just joined us. Jason, you've been on for a while, and Cherise. Now, this is obviously within this group, there are business owners and then there are individuals who work in the business. So I want to actually open it to, so I'm going to ask Jason first and then Cherise. Just, yeah, things that you guys are planning to work on this year.
We've just started the journey with Shannon and June, and for us, I think we're really looking forward to the first half of the year is to focus on those efforts and to learn quite a bit and to take away quite a bit of what we're going to be learning. We're still developing our model. We're still developing our, if I can call it in inverted commas, product. So for us, there's still quite a bit of development work that lies ahead. But yeah, I think it's going to be largely driven by you know what we learn from the course that we're on at the moment.
Is that the coaching course, or is that working with June and Shannon?
June and Shannon.
Okay, good. Cherise, on your side, congrats on getting married, by the way.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so basically we have a thanks, June. Thank you. We basically focusing on refining the process at the moment, and just Jason and Brian is doing the development side with June and Shannon, and then I'll get into where we refine the actual process going through with a client, and we getting a few new clients on board at the moment, and I think it's going to be a lot of trial and error this year to see what works and what doesn't work, and what works getting the client on for the long term, and who would rather take a smaller see how it goes and then maybe pitch in for the long term. So it's a lot of development and trial and error, I think, this year, and just seeing where that goes. Yeah.
Okay, can you guys just elaborate when you're saying like development and the model and that? I mean, what are you including in that? Because
I would say deciding which software to use and how to use it, and which step falls in at which process. So really refining point A to point Z, what you're doing at what stage with each client. Maybe which area of financial planning you're tackling first. What's a good order, chronological order to tackle first, so you don't have to redo stuff after you did something else already because it affects something else. And then just get feedback from clients, and then fix what needs to be fixed and grow on what's doing well, I guess. Yeah.
okay, cool. I'm trying to see who else is here. Okay, well, it's only us left now. So I'm going to ask Alex.
Me, Brian.
By the way, congrats, Alex and Cherise, for both getting your CFP.
Thank you.
It's huge. Well done. I know.
Thank you.
For some of you, it's been a long road.
Yeah, thanks, everyone. I think the biggest thing that I want to do this year is to get clients to take action. We've done, in the last couple of years, we've put a lot of effort into our process, although that still needs to be finalized a bit. But in the last couple of years, we've seen where we can have all these great conversations and, clients can like us, but if we don't actually get clients to take action, then, there's no point really. So my biggest resolution, for lack of a better word, would probably be to have clients take action. At the end of every meeting now, to make a list of actual action points, and not just leave the meeting, not actually knowing what to do next. I know I've had experience where we've had meetings in the past and clients said, okay, now what? And I don't want to put clients in that position because it creates a bit of uncertainty. So at the end of every meeting, to have a list of actions, and it could be something simple. It could just be something like, I'm going to follow up with you in a week's time to chat about what we discussed, or anything. But there has to be action after these meetings. Otherwise, it's not pointless, but the client doesn't seem like they're getting things done. So yeah, I need to make a bit more of a conscious effort to get clients to take action. It works out best for everyone. The client gets what they need. We get a client. Yeah. So.
Okay, cool.
Alex, on that, I think what Mark Sideout does, but quite a few other planners also do, is they will always have, after the big planning meetings, they schedule so many weeks after the meeting an accountability call. So it's kind of their set templated process, which is something I've started doing with clients where they have to go and do stuff themselves, because a lot of the times it's actually related to a product, and then I can just oversee that and make sure it's done. But like sometimes it will be they're going to sell this thing, or they're going to stop spending money on that thing or whatever. So yeah, so he does that whole accountability call, and it's a way to keep people, I suppose, on the ball. So it's quite interesting how his model developed into that. But it was also because he felt unfulfilled when he do all these awesome things in a meeting, and then stuff all happens the rest of the year. And
and I mean, like you say, there it's not going to be specifically like a product based, like you need risk cover. It could be clients who are in debt, and the goal is to get pay off your credit card, something simple. But I think that accountability meeting would be a really good idea, because that's their life, and so I think that's a really cool idea.
Chapiso, I can see above Alex on my screen. By the way, Chapiso's also, when his internship up, is becoming a permanent employee as well. So he's got his future laid out for him too.
Well, for me, basically it's more of personal development. And at the stage where, like you said, I'm becoming more, I'll be more permanent. And now, which means that I have to step up. Fred put it very clear that no one is to treat like a child. So I'm not a baby anymore. So I have to step up and hold myself accountable and try to add more value. I mean, the best way of adding value to clients is to add value within the business itself. So if I can make Alex's life easier, he can make the clients' lives easier as well. So it becomes a chain. So if I can do that and add more value within the business, it's easier to add more value to the clients. So that's really what I'm going to try to do and develop myself. And hopefully I will join most of you guys that have that CFP next to my name. Seems really cool.
Okay, great. Thanks, and well done. Yeah. Zoe's always very quiet, but Zoe, you're going to have to put your camera on and tell us what you want to achieve this year. Chapiso. Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. I had to figure out where it was to put on. I'd just be support staff for yourself and Alex, and with all the admin side of everything, and then also teaching Chapiso all the admin side of everything and get him up and running and to be at the top of his admin field, so he learns everything how to do all the admin side of everything as well. not just the financial side of things.
Okay, cool. Zoe is our admin rock, and part of Chupiso's new role is that he's doing admin for the next 2 years because we know that's the best place to learn the business. Yeah. Catherine.
Do you want my camera on? There we go. Yeah, and also just focusing on myself and learning more this year, and yeah, doing the best in my role to take care of our clients and to try and keep growing.
Okay, cool. So for those who don't know, Catherine's been studying for the last few years. She's passed everything with flying colors. And now she's going to start doing the BCom financial planning. So she's got still a fairly long road ahead of her. But I mean, the way she's smashed everything so far, we're confident that's going to happen. And what we've done, which has worked, I think, quite nicely in the business, that everyone's got kind of a career path. So Catherine is now going to be working more closely with me as a kind of paraplanner to me, and Chupiso's fulfilling that role with Alex. So yeah, so everyone's got a bit of a growth path. And then on our side, Ben, the newest member, Ben was with us, was it last week? Yeah. And Ben, yeah, what are your goals for the year?
Yeah, well, I think the first part is just understanding getting to know the culture and the way that things are done, and so that I can assimilate, and then use where I can to help to improve certain areas, and whatever projects that I need to run to get those done. And yeah, and then just I guess also on a personal side, I'm doing the IBCC course with Old Mutual, which is also great, especially, those deeper relationships with clients and asking those deeper questions. I think it's a great place to learn there. And then also, yeah, I just want to also bring in some, just a few more clients and just build up that, slowly over time.
I see you got an increase in budget there, Ben. You're wearing a button-up shirt. You're standing. Obviously, you got a standing desk, and you got a very professional mic as well. It's just was this a sign-on bonus?
This isn't Discovery.
Yeah.
Just drop the camera there. I want to see if you got shorts on or long pants.
It's Durban, so I'm sure it's a speedo.
I actually thought about wearing shorts this morning, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay, then Salome, any rich ideas for 2022?
Yes, yeah, there's a lot going to happen. So I'm in the fortunate position to work with Terence that's already nailed the fee-based financial planning. And last year was a very big year in terms of growth for us. And we've added 3 more advisors and 2 more admin staff. So with growth comes a lot of challenges as well. So we're trying to streamline all of that this year. And then I also need to, because I was always Terence's assistant, so I want to build my own presence online and my own client base as well. So that's going to be my focus for 2022.
Okay, great. So you've obviously got a plan outlined to achieve that?
Yes, yeah. So luckily I learn a lot from Terence, and I still have a bit of studying to do before I can get my CFP. So that's going to still take a few years. But yeah, so it's all process and patience, and just take it day by day, because it's not always easy. But I must be honest, I think I am a bit fortunate to work with Terence that's already built his presence, and so clients is not really a problem for us. We're lucky enough for that. So it's just learning from him and be able to do that as well. Have good conversations with clients and listen more to what they're saying.
Okay, great. That sounds exciting. I know you've been Terence's right-hand person for years, so it's nice that you're able to step out now and start doing things that you enjoy more.
Exactly. And yeah, so that is actually quite nice to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, so you guys know our team has grown. We've also recently we've acquired a building in St. Francis. So the plan is to open an office over there. So instead of me working from home, I go to an office there. Also, just because there's such an influx of people, and I think we're seeing it around the country. A lot of people are just moving to smaller villages or towns because of quality of life, which for me is exciting because it speaks to what we're trying to do for clients, where the money's not the focus, but rather lifestyle the focus. So that's pretty scary. We've taken some big steps in the last 6 months. But yeah, if we don't step forward, we're stepping sideways. So just a few things. So I'll be honest, when we looked at Catherine, and I'm sorry, I know you're in the room, but I think this is quite important that, when we didn't realize that the career path that kind of Mill Park put you on, and I think Catherine also thought we were a bit further down the line of getting, to a place to get that CFP. And it really got me thinking, and I know that a lot of you guys, I know Brian and Jason, the other people who don't have their CFP yet, who are working towards it to be so, and there's people who've just got it, and it's been it's not an easy achievement by any means. I'm glad I did mine 20 years ago, because honestly, I'm not sure I'd get through it now. Well, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't actually. And although it is really, really important, I think the industry, we've got to acknowledge that the industry is also changing to extent where, a lot of the skill that we need can be outsourced to other members in a team, or even people that we work with. So, for instance, we will work with a legal advisor from Old Mutual Wealth, or an attorney, and in theory, we probably should be able to do all that stuff ourselves. But the reality is that, you end up focusing on areas of strength, which I think is really important, instead of trying to get strong where you're weak, rather just get stronger where you're strong. So I think it's important that, if you don't have a CFP and you're working towards it, that's absolutely okay. I mean, it's not that you can't do a really, really good job. There are plenty of people who have a qualification behind their name who do shocking work. So I think, what's important to understand is it's really what you're trying to do for clients, and where the heart lies. That is really important. Alex didn't suddenly become a good financial planner in December. He's been a great planner for a long time. It's just something, another achievement that he's now managed to get through. And then also what Alex mentioned about taking action with clients. I think, and we're all trying to do, and I see Brian and Jason, you're battling with this thing of your model, and I mean, I get it, and I can see you caught between, I'm thinking between, you got the fee-based thing, and then you've got the coaching aspect, and you anti the product, which I get, although it's products are essential in our industry, in what we do, but I think what's really important is what Alex mentioned, and what I've always been afraid of the last few years, is that we don't actually get clients to take action. So we can have like the warmest, fluffiest websites and speak lovely language, and we can listen deeply to people and everything. But if you're not actually helping clients make a change in their lives, then it's useless, and if we can't do that, then it doesn't matter how we get paid, we're not worth it. So I think for us that's really important too, and especially the fact that we're kind of looking at growing our business as well now. We've kind of done it the other way around. We're bringing in staff to give us capacity, and then there's a few things going on where we're hoping to springboard and then grow the business from there. But we need to grow it through helping clients to take action. Yeah, so those are just two things that really stood out for me. June, you haven't spoken on your side. I know that you guys, you just said you've had 2 weeks of planning and everything. And although you're with Old Mutual Wealth, we understand that you guys are like kind of a right-wing group inside the organization, or left-wing, whichever you can see it.
Yeah, Dirk. So I think most of the planners that actually deal with us. So I'm definitely product agnostic, although I work for Old Mutual Wealth and I'm passionate about Old Mutual Wealth. But the stuff we do and the stuff we take out is really product agnostic. It's not about that. It's about client experience. It's about client relationships. So for us, for this year, we always try, and that's why I love this group so much. So I've already dotted down a few things. So what we're trying to do is we need to bring value to the planners that partners with us. I mean, you guys, it's similar to what Russell started with. You guys pay for our services, you pay for specific things, and we need to make sure that we actually add value. And for me, I get a lot of stuff in terms of what you guys see as challenges. I dot them down, I take it back to my team, we kind of do research, and then try and design something to bring to you guys to bring value. So I love the fact that you guys spoke about taking action and implementation. So it's something that I dotted down. So we've got this very nice streamlined process that's supposed to help clients actually take action, but maybe there's a bit of work that we can do just on the taking action part. So I'm definitely taking that. Okay, I'm going to have a little bit of a look into that and see, if there's something that we can put together. What we started for this year, though, which is the first quarter, I'm very excited about it, and I've already actually done 2 workshops on it. I think last year, November, we did a webinar, and I think very few planners actually watched the webinar because everyone was just so fatigued, webinar fatigued, and so I don't even blame anyone. But we looked at generational planning. And I love that. I think it's an awesome lead generation strategy as well as a retention strategy. So I just think it's a very, very relevant topic. So we're doing a whole workshop on generational planning that we are actually, so first of all, we have meetings. I want to understand what you guys want to achieve. What can we work with you, in your practice, on your processes, for you to actually achieve success and reach the goals that you have. But we can bring generational planning as an example. We can look at that and see if that's something that you can maybe implement, some aspects of it. And then another thing that we worked on as well, and that's something that Fadi spoke about, is we designed this whole goal setting workshop, Fadi. So, aspects of it, and we always know we've got like a view, but we take what we have and we mold and change and kind of tweak it so that it fits into the process that you would like it to look like. So we kind of redesign it with you guys. So those are 2 things that we just started with. And then anything else that becomes relevant, obviously we look at that and we bring it to you guys. But I do get a lot of value from this group because I take the challenges and stuff that you guys feed to me. I take it back to our group and see how we can actually work with that. Yeah, so that's just in a nutshell, basically the first quarter, first 6 months.
June, when you say generational planning, are you talking technical or are you talking how do you actually get to deal with the kids after dealing with the parents?
I think it might be a little bit of both. So first of all, what it entails, it shows, so I always see it as it's a 2-tiered approach, Dirk. So generational planning could be a very high net worth client that has a business. And how do you add value to that client's life? Is the client actually aware of, how wealth gets lost from the first to the third generation? Like 90% of wealth gets lost from first to third, and that's big businesses being passed on. So they've worked so hard building up this business. So how can you as a planner maybe just start having that conversation? You don't have to have all the specialist skills because there are some specialists that come into a system with certain things, for instance, proper estate planning, trusts, structures. But there's things that you can start asking questions about. So we've got very proper questions that you can start asking those type of clients for them to actually just realize if they, want to go that route and make sure that retention happens. So that's the one tier. And the second one is basically protecting your AUM. So you just look at your client base. Let's look at the top investments that I actually have assets under management for those clients. Let's identify them. And then how do I start building a relationship with beneficiaries? So it's kind of a 2-tiered approach. I don't know if I answered your question, though.
No, because I think they're definitely 2 very separate areas.
Yes, but both speaks to generational planning, but 100% correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like what you said about the goal planning thing, because I've just been feeling the last while more and more that, goals are like what we put out there as goals, as this evolves, aren't really goals anymore. Driving the car you drive on the holidays you go on, those aren't really goals. But I think also what I've accepted is that when we start a relationship with the clients, those are goals that they can kind of identify, because if you start going too deep too quickly, there's a very good chance you're gonna lose them. So what we're trying to do is build a 3-year process where the first initial goals will be exactly the holidays, the cars, what age you want to retire, your budget, things like that. But then as we move through the next 2 years, we kind of bring in the deeper stuff using some of the ROL tools and things like that. I mean, we had a discussion beginning of this week with a client he's already got more than he needs. And it's like, but business is really, really good. You know, and I think he's 55 or 56 now. And it's like, when is enough enough? You know, and his wife's like saying, yes, when is enough enough? You know, and so it's really interesting, and it got me thinking about, we're going to have, and we work with him and his partner, and he's in a similar position, but he's even a bit younger. So like, how do you start having those conversations and saying to the guys like, well, you know, you're making a hell of a lot of money, but you actually have more than you need. And like, you know, maybe you should exit. Whereas most people would say, you flipping crazy, just make more and more money. But it's very difficult about how do you position that, because you could play safe and just carry on doing what you're doing. So I think.
So Dirk, on that, and I think I know I've spoken to you guys at Client Care already on the goal setting module that we started to develop last year. So that's the one that we're actually rolling out this year. And how it starts, I'm just giving kind of a quick bit, you know, overview of it. But so we start with the Wheel of Balance, which is a coaching tool. So we start that. So if you can get a client to complete a Wheel of Balance, so it looks at different lifestyle areas, and they rate themselves in terms of how satisfied are they. So this guy might look at his business, okay, and he's done very well and he's accumulated a lot of wealth. So money and you know, career might score very high in terms of satisfactory rating. But there might be areas that scores very low that they're not even aware of. You know, so you might have all the money in the world, but you might not be satisfied. There's something. So that's just a quick check in terms of, you know, what are the areas in my life that's actually not working for me? And why that's important is because if you look at the Wheel of Balance, it's supposed to show you what a balanced life looks like. If you're balanced, your overall well-being and happiness will be better. So you might have all the money in the world, but very unhappy. And it might be because you're not balanced. So that's just the introduction of our goal setting. And then from there, you identify areas. So the satisfactory is a starting point, and then you identify areas that you want to work on, add goals to those areas, and money to follow, you know, where the goals are. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what the goal setting, you know, and it's an interesting starting point. It's very different from what clients and planners are actually used to.
Yeah. Alex?
Yeah, something that we've seen this year already, I don't know, it seems to be a theme that's just popped up out of nowhere now, is business owners looking for exit strategies. And a lot of the time we've seen people retiring, but they've always been like employees of companies. But I'm just thinking, I mean, June just made a point, I'm just thinking out loud now, is, you know, thinking of not a process, but a way to, you know, talk to clients who are business owners on an exit strategy. And because at this stage we kind of just doing, yeah, you got to de-risk, you know, move money out of the business into your personal name over time. But I'm sure for business owners there's a lot more value that we can add to them in that transition, because I mean it is a big transition, you know, specifically for business owners, not just employees who are retiring.
Yeah, I think it's a great area that we can work on. Gina, we've seen that wheel of yours, and I mean, just our view right now, like, is when you're bringing on a new client, it's very tricky to go that deep that quickly. Some clients will do it, and other clients kind of you might just put them off completely. I think maybe to pick on Justin, but I think someone from an accounting background to get, you know, where you've had an accounting relationship with the clients and to move there could be a bit tricky. So I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to lay everything out there, decide what tools and things we want to use, and then we're redoing our process. It's not changing too much. We're just refining it. And then almost per client say, look, with this, we feel they're ready for this now, or hang on, with these guys, let's do that. And then we'll we'll get there in 6 months or a year's time. Because I think as rigid as we've been in our process, there certainly are some clients we discover that get there a lot quicker. And then there's some that just simply need longer. And it could be because of the phase they are in their lives or the type of personality that they are. So I think like being flexible there, I think is quite important. Okay, guys, I think everyone's unpacked a bit. Can we, if anyone has, can I ask anyone who has like burning issues, like I already think this group can help me with X, Y, Z. Can we just ask you to just put your hand up and say what that is? So, because obviously what we'd like to do is there's a lot we can cover. And like I've said, you know, there are definitely always going to be people in this group who outgrow the group. And the whole point of the group is to help new/younger planners who want to do this, but who are not sure how to do it, to get going. So a lot of the stuff is going to be repeated, I think, year after year. It doesn't mean you can't learn from it, but I think it's not to take this group and one day be elite planners. I think there are other social groups that are more suited to that. The idea behind this is to help new and younger planners kind of find their feet and grow. So, I mean, if anyone has issues where you feel that the group can help, can you just stick your hand up, and then, you know, we'll use those to start off with where we are. Alex.
Yeah, I've just got a question to pose to the group. When it comes to practice management and keeping track of, you know, where you are with certain clients, whether it's for you know, in the meeting process, or whether it's following up on documents or anything like that, how are you guys keeping track of that? Because at the moment we're using Xplan. It's a bit outdated. We're not the biggest fans, but it is what we're using. So I'd just be interested to know, in other practices, how are you guys keeping track of where you are in certain tasks or anything like that with clients?
Alex, we use a CRM called, I think it's a UK-based one, Less Annoying CRM. It's very, very straightforward, and you can build process flows on there, and it's actually so simple. And we've seen that you can actually keep track of it nicely, and you BCC an email address, and then every email that you send to your client gets captured on there as well. So you can literally go back to that client and see all the track. If an admin assistant worked on it, you can see what she's done. And so that helps us quite a bit.
What did you, sorry, Salome, you said it was called Less
Annoying CRM.
Less Annoying, okay.
Yeah, and they're very helpful. You email them. We've had Zoom sessions with them. They're quite helpful if you have some issues.
Cool. Thank you.
Salome, is that just a general CRM, or is it a financial planning CRM?
No, it's a general CRM. So we build our own pipelines on it as well. You can literally do whatever, how your process works. You can build your own process flows and all of that. It's very easy to use, so it's not like this high level thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's, I think that's a good thing we can discuss. Anyone else have anything that they feel they really need help with, and that the group can help with?
I've got things that maybe you and Frank can possibly assist with, but the rest of us are kind of looking at you more senior statesmen. But it's I made a list after last year. You said any topics that you would maybe keep together. So I've got a list of a few things, but what I can do is I can send it to Ben. I think last year you said when you're ready, you'll send it to him, and he can keep like a master document of like agenda items we can slowly but surely go through. So I've got the makings of one, so I can just send that to him, and then you guys, he can look at it after the call.
Sure. I mean, just I think verbalize it, because you might find that someone else feels that that's something important too.
Okay, cool. So I was reading quickly before this call that article you sent earlier on about the lessons learned, and the mistakes made when Alan Smith made his firm up, started his firm. So a lot of us here are either solo planners who are building our own thing, or we're part of another firm like myself, where one day hopefully we will, have to take the reins and build something or redesign it or redevelop it into something else. So I was thinking of like certain lessons or pitfalls that you have learned, maybe Frank as well, coming from the more the accounting side as well, of definitely do not do this. Definitely think hard about that, and give us some insights into, because a lot of us will follow the same route simply because it's probably the path of least resistance, or because the industry has dictated that you do something a certain way. But I know that there aren't many planners in the country who I would even listen to discuss their businesses, because I know that many of them don't run particularly good businesses. But when it comes to people like yourself, then it's good to understand why yours is different maybe and how you operate, and just even if it's something small, but the smallest thing can probably save us a lot of grief when we go about creating something almost from scratch for a lot of the guys on the call. But for people like myself and Jason in the future, when we take something that exists and turn it into something else, take it from a traditional advice business into a top financial planning business. Yeah, so that is a very broad topic, but I'm sure there must be, if you had to think about it, a million things. I know you blew up your own business years ago and kind of rebuilt it. So it's kind of insights into that, because I think that's extremely valuable. Because we're all, as financial planners, almost all of us are, whether we like it or not, to a degree, we're business owners. So we all have to learn a bit more about that, because they don't teach that in the courses we do.
No, sure. I mean, happy to do that. Having said that, I don't think there's right or wrong, and I think everyone will walk their own path. Everyone's situation will be slightly different and unique to everyone else's. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know how we do something like that. But yeah, we can certainly look at that. Yeah, but again, on that vein, I mean, you guys know I'm a WhatsApp away, so. And I may not have the answer, and it might be different to what you think. But I mean, I still think the biggest problem that a lot of people on this group are making is that you're trying to create the perfect business, and it doesn't exist. And you're trying to be so pious and righteous, and you've got a family to feed as well. And I think anyone who's on this call is really honest and really trying to do the best for their clients. And yeah, so I mean, that's that whole fee discussion, and I think yeah, I mean, that's something that'll be ongoing, but for sure.
Yeah, if I can add there, by all means, Brian, you can send through, and I'll also have a look. And Justin is also, I think, can also give some very valuable input. What he and his dad has also built through their business. But it's going to be cliche what I'm saying now to you, but it's actually the simplest things. It's the most difficult stuff. So to stick by, because I think we're in a generation, or a lot of people in generations, is want instant success and wants to achieve a certain level at as quick as possible. And end of this month, my practice is 18 years old, and that didn't happen overnight. And it's, but you have to have a very clear picture of where you would like to go. So, I know that compliance officers say business plans, and it gets under our skin. But you have to have a very clear picture of where you want to go, and you need to understand your values. I think that's utmost important. And never think, and I think Dirk will agree, you must never get to a position where you think you've arrived or you have achieved success, because then it's your downfall. And be open. The biggest thing, and I always use this even for my tribe. What I refer to is that whenever we meet, whenever I go to conferences, whenever I speak to fellow, like-minded people, I tend to gravitate to people that's ahead of me naturally. because I want to learn from them. And I think if you keep that mindset, you know, and you stick with it and you stay dedicated to the cause, it will come. And I think that's probably the biggest lesson. And if you listen to the Ronaldo thing, you will see that he was also talking about when you lose a game, not if, when. You are going to lose. You are going to make mistakes. But it's in that place to say, okay, but let's reflect on that and assess it and see what can we do better. I think that's a continuous process that I still do now after 18 years, and Dirk probably do after, I don't know, 30 years, how long he's been at his practice. So I think it's very, very important that you keep on doing that.
Yeah, Frank, I think you're right. It's 30 years this month, actually, that I've been in the industry. Yeah, and I think also, you know, so I think what you said, your values are very important. If you have a business that doesn't resonate with your values, you're never going to get anywhere. And I think what's also important is to understand is that it's going to change. It's always going to change. It's never going to stay the same, because, you know, when you look at yourself 3 years ago, what you knew and accepted then is possibly quite different to what you know and accept now to be the right way to go, whether that be on how you charge or the value of your advice and things like that. I mean, like me talking about goals is just not good enough. 20 years ago, to have a client set goals was like, geez, it's, you know, earth moving kind of stuff. Whereas today it's like cash flow planning is, well, if you don't have that, then you're definitely not doing anything good. So it's going to change on an ongoing basis. One of the reasons I created this group, which actually started off just with Simon and Russell and Alex, when Alex joined me, was the old Access community and IPAC community that I grew up in for many, and still am. I was by far the smallest business in there, and you know, that group really helped me grow and become where we are today. And it was through that sharing and the fact that other people who were way ahead of me would actually share with me and give me the time of day. And I think for us, that giving back is essential. And for all of you, there are people that you can give back to. You know, it's not just maybe Frank and I have been doing this a little bit longer. There are always other people that you can give back. And I think if you have that mentality, then you're going to learn from those guys and those girls as well. So I think that's just got to be a part of you. And if you're going to do that, then fine. I mean, I look at peers who have been in the industry as long as I have, and they own massive houses and fancy cars and holiday homes. And so their wealth is 10, 20 times fold what my personal wealth would be. But I can tell you now, they don't have what I have. They honestly really don't. They're not part of a group like this where, you know, you can help people and people help you. And it's really about moving the industry forward. So at the end of the day, you know, they say some people are so poor, all they have is money. And I think when you get older in life, you realize, and there's nothing wrong with having piles of money, trust me, but there's nothing. But if you do it all on your own, then what's the point? I mean, we all know businesses where it's like one man and his secretary, and, you know, they're building wealth, and then maybe they eventually bring one of the kids in because the kids can't find a job, or, you know, and it's, well, let's just keep all the wealth to ourselves. And I just think, you know, that's building something like that is not a business, and it doesn't have a heart and a soul. So and that is one of the reasons where, you know, we've got Alex and Chopiso and Ben and, you know, Catherine and Zoe all in our business, because instead of trying to just build something which provides my family with a lot of wealth, the reality is, if I know that if get all these people to embrace responsibility, that wealth is going to be far more, not only let's call it emotionally and satisfactory, but also financially in the long run as well. So, you know, I think by empowering people, you're actually going to be able to empower yourself as well. And my big wish is, and I've thought about how to start this, but just to get more guys who have the experience that I have to actually start embracing this and to be able to help younger planners, because the reality is you can't build anything meaningful on your own. You know, you can only do it with other people. So, yeah, Frank.
Yeah, thanks, Dirk. Yeah, and as Dirk was speaking, I just remembered. So one of the mistakes I think we can make, and what a lot of people make, is that if we talk about financial wealth, as that increases, our lifestyle increases. And I think that is probably the biggest mistake that we've seen and personally we've made. And, you know, and I think I've listened to I've listened to one of the only billionaire that I know, personally know. I went to go listen to his story. He stays in Cape Town and he's 40, I think he's 45. Yeah, like I mentioned to his billionaire, and I asked him this question, retired already. He just manages his own investments now. And I asked him about, so he's sharing about lifestyle and the life that he had, and this big house, like a castle when you drive up to it. He was staying, not in South Africa at the time. And, but how the one night he asked his kids and his wife, you know, where was because they've had a few houses, and ask him what's the best property that they've ever stayed in. And he thought it would have been that property, which is like a castle. It was actually the simplest house where they had family times together, supper together, and spending time together, quality time together. And one of the comments that he made is that choose your lifestyle very early that you want to live and stick by it.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. Yeah, makes sense. Guys, anything else? Any other burning points that that you'd like us to discuss as a group? Obviously, we can find people to come in and chat to us. There was a bit about the human side of things. I'm just thinking we could, you know, there's definitely people we know we could bring in there just to chat about that. Anyone want us to try and do that? Okay, cool. Human side. Okay, we've got lessons and not to do. We got Alex's point on more the practical running of a business, like the day-to-day stuff, the compliance and all of that. Ferdy, anything on your side? I know that you got a whole lot of stuff that you want to do.
Yeah, I guess if you guys can maybe help me, because obviously you did a few of these things, courses or programs that I can do this year that can help me with the most of everything that I'm trying to do this year, growing and software and marketing and all of those things, the most practical. Yeah, because I know a few of you guys did a course with Brian Foster and how that went and what it's all about, and is it practical or is it just like inside your own personality and your niche and those things. And yeah, what you've seen in the market at this point, obviously a budget is quite a concern. So there's really good programs out there, but it's like really expensive. So yeah, if you can help me with something that you've thought about or have done that has given you quite good value.
Okay, sure. We can have a session just, I think, on software and programs and things. And I see that Brian, Cherise, you guys also talking about that. So maybe that's something we can do sooner than later, and maybe just go around and have everyone in the group share what they're currently using at the moment and why it works for them. I think that could be a good idea. Okay, Ben.
So just something that I seem to pick up was maybe just articulating a value proposition, or maybe even putting a value proposition together. And then, because often you just say, "Oh, I'm a financial advisor," and it's like, "But I'm different," but I don't know really how to tell you why. So I think maybe that could be helpful for a lot of people, especially when you're starting off, because like you don't even know where to start, how to put a value proposition together, and how do you then take that to somebody else, you know? I guess, you know, you talk about that your elevator pitch and all those little bits and pieces. So you don't, when you are meeting these people, and if you want to be in a growth space, we got to be meeting people, but then are we saying the right things to them to get them interested? We don't want to be selling stock picks or something like that.
Yeah, no, look, that's a difficult one. I think the problem with that one is that a lot of people who give courses on value propositions aren't financial planners. Actually, it's not how they earn their living. So the theory is great, but practically how do you actually do it, in a live situation is quite different. So, we can do something on that. Chipisa?
For me, actually, should have touched on this, but that it's also a long-term goal for me. Is to go back where I come from and make a huge difference, right? But then now, the only thing that I'm struggling with is that there's something that is happening back home, and which is we're getting more young Black professionals, we're getting more young Black doctors coming out, graduating. They're coming from very, very, very difficult circumstances where maybe they're the first ones to be working, right? And what I feel personally is, how do I reach them, and how do I help them get exposed to the financial planning side that is right, not the traditional so-called financial planning where they just sell them the product and then leave them to be. How do I expose them to this world? That's one of the things. And another thing is, even there are people that actually don't even know there's a thing called financial planning, and they do have that generic catching. Maybe they want to help as well. Maybe they want to be exposed to this industry. How do I reach them? How do I make that contribution in that community? That's, for me, that's my long-term goal. That's what I want to do in the long run, to make that contribution, because it'd be pointless for me as a young Black professional knowing all this thing and not being able to make real contribution where I come from. And that's what I want to do, is to just marry the two worlds, how they are. I mean, I was telling you about the Cuban doctors, the doctors that just came from Cuba, and they've been exposed. The first exposure is to the traditional financial advisors, and they don't care about their circumstances. Honestly, they just want to sell that product and move on. They don't care about whether there is a thing called black tax, or they don't care whether they need to think about, actually, listen, I need to take care of this and this and this before I do 1, 2, and 3, and 4. They sort of use that blanket approach, which for me, it's sad to see.
Yeah, Chipisa, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, and I think there's various sides to that. The one is that the huge opportunity that there lies ahead for someone like yourself, that a lot of us wouldn't be able to get in because we don't understand. As much as we can read and we could try, we're not going to understand because we haven't lived in those situations. So yeah, and I think it's a huge challenge because the financial education, as we know, it's not always going to help. People knowing about compound interest or saving over time, it's not going to help people like that. It's their attitude towards money, which is based on how they were brought up and the circumstances in which they were brought up, and then also the reality of what they live in that time, which, I mean, for all millennials, is kind of like social media. This is what people think is normal, whereas we know it's completely not normal. But I think there's a massive opportunity there, and I know that we've discussed it in the business. There's huge opportunity there for someone like yourself. But I also agree that we probably need to look at how do we, and one of the things with this group, which we actually need to do, is try and find more people to join this group, and especially more people of color, because they're not getting exposed to this. It's quite simple. Like, people don't know what they don't know. So this group just started us trying to help a couple of youngsters, and it's grown to what it is now. But I think, if anyone knows of anyone who can benefit from this, I'm more than happy that you add them to the group, and as long as they have the same attitude where they're open to learning and sharing, we can move forward. But we had 50 people in this group. It's really not an issue. I mean, so yeah, Chapiso, if you know of any friends who are trying to do what you're trying to do, you're not going to be able to do it on your own. That's for sure. So, you know, the only way to do that is to get more people involved, and hopefully what we do can rub off on more people then, yeah. Okay, anyone else have anything? We've got a bit here to keep us busy. Okay, so I'm going to run through it quickly. We've got how to keep track of clients' tasks, so more kind of systems, lessons on things not to do. We've got the human side. Again, Ferdy's point, which talked to Alex, is around software programs and courses. Ben, how to articulate your value proposition, and Chapiso, which I think is his point, is a long ongoing thing that's not going to be solved overnight. I'm just thinking about this, and Ferdy, I know for you where you are, those are big decisions that you kind of need to make, and the longer you don't make them, the more you're going to procrastinate on them. That's not the right word, but you know what I mean. So maybe what we should do in our next session is just have a few of us share what software and what programs we're using and why. And I think I'll put something on the WhatsApp group, and let's get people who are using stuff that is working for them. We've all got stuff we're kind of looking at, but let's look at what's practically working, because we want to keep this practical, especially for someone like Ferdy and then, you know, Brian, Jason and Cherise, where you're looking at, because at some point you've got to make a choice and then bed it down and go for it, like what Frank's doing now. You've got to we're going to run with it, and then, you know, we can relook at the whole thing down the line. So maybe let's do that in our next session. So I'll put out in the WhatsApp group, but Russell, I'm already thinking you, because I know you've got stuff that you use that works for you. I think we can share what we do, because we've looked at a lot of stuff. And then maybe I'll ask Frank, because it sounds like they're kind of where they are. But if anyone else wants to share, let's just put that on the group. Okay, everyone happy with that?
I guess that's it.
Like a mic drop.
Dirk, you disappeared. He's back.
So
Sorry, I realized I was the one. You all froze. I realized it was probably me that froze.
Shame, do you want some Wi-Fi from Cape Town? We can give you some.
I think it's, yeah, I don't know who it is. It's either Alex or Chapiso that is stuffing this up.
Shame.
Okay, did you guys hear that or not? So
yes, we did, yeah.
Okay, I'll put something on the WhatsApp group, and I think let's start off with that, because I think that'll help a few of us, or a few of you guys, just get going on that. Okay, anything else anyone wants to ask or chat about before we go? Okay, guys. Anyone wants to add anyone to the group, just let us know. And otherwise because this session is running late in January, our next session's in a few weeks. So let me just have a look. It is... Okay, it's not in the diary. I don't know why. But we'll make it on the 8th. So I'll set those meetings up again. Okay, everyone happy with that? Cool. Okay. Cheers, guys. Have a good week.
Cheers, everyone.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Dirk. Bye, everyone.
Sure. Cheers.